Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Good
So
morning.
Good
excited
morning,
to see
Mike.
everybody. So
Are
pleased to
we,
meet you, Mike. So we are streaming live today on Facebook, and this is going to be a different kind of episode, but we're doing Stuart Sax's normal show of Someone You Should Know. We're just doing it a little bit through the Networking Diva. So I am here to give you a hand. So I'm your technical backup, but you guys run the show and have a blast. If you need me, I am here to help.
And I thank you very, very much. And just so those that are watching and listening into the show, this beautiful lady is Christine Dean, and she is the DFW Networking Diva. And for those that need assistance in setting up your own websites, networking programs, marketing programs, she's the lady.
Why, thank you.
DFWnetworkingdiva.com. You can go to her website. And this program is brought to you by DFW Networking Diva. So thank you very, very much for producing the show this morning for us. And Mike, welcome as always, whenever we have a chance to either sit down face to face across the table or virtually. It's always good to be with you, my friend.
I feel the same way, Stuart. We always have a great conversation, and I value your friendship.
And we often reach out to each other when we have a question. We both are very connected within the community. I dare say you probably more connected than I am because you're involved in so many organizations. Mike is very much an activist, and I don't mean the kind that marches down the streets with placards and all. He works within the ranks. He works with veterans. He works with the city community. He works with the faith community, and he's just an all-around nice guy. And I will tell you, Mike, when I started to promote this show on my Facebook page, just constantly every 5 minutes somebody was chiming in saying, oh, Mike Martin, I love that guy, I can't wait, he's terrific, he's incredible. And it wasn't paid political announcements. It was just the truth. You are a very, very special person to me and to our community. And today we're going to cover just a couple of aspects of who Mike Martin is and what he does, because you're involved very heavily with veterans programs through the Frisco Lakes Veterans Club. So first of all, tell the audience a little bit about the Frisco Lakes Veterans Club, when it was formed, and some of the things that you're involved in.
Well, you were most complimentary this morning, Stuart, and I'm blushing and humbled. Well, my name is Mike Martin, and I'm fortunate to live in Frisco Lakes, which is a 55 and older community. We have 3,000 homes. And of course, we all have passions, from playing golf to all kinds of special interest groups. But many of us are driven and have a passion to give back. So one of the groups that we formed at Frisco Lakes is called the Frisco Lakes Veterans Group. We have about 220 members. And the group has supported in the past 3 nonprofits. That's the Defenders of Freedom and the Homeless Veterans Group of South Dallas and the USO at the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. And we generate money to support some of those contributions with golf tournaments here at Frisco Lakes. So with that, our mission statement, and you knew, Stuart, it was going to take a military flair to that mission statement. But the mission statement of our Frisco Lakes group is to contribute for all veterans and their families, provide relevant support information, and assist local nonprofit veterans organizations through donations and volunteer work. So that's the work we do.
And you know, you so eloquently read what that mission statement, but basically in layman's terms, it's veterans reaching out and paying it forward to other veterans. And we all know, and especially over the last 6 months with this pandemic that has hit us, the veterans community is one of those communities that already had challenges, and now the challenges have been escalated and there is even greater need. I was reading something this morning that was talking about many groups, but veterans included, that are trying to make a decision to what little money that they have and can scrape together. Do they use it for food or do they use it for rent? And some of them are finding that in order to eat, they may have to move out of their apartments or whatever and live in their vehicles. So it's you know, not a pipe dream. It's something that we're living in reality, and we need people like the Frisco Lakes Veterans Club to do the kind of programs that you're doing. You said you have a golf tournament that's actually coming up, what, in about another month or two?
Well, we have scheduled in August 13th a golf tournament, which really contributes to our first responders. 4 or 5 years ago, when we had the terrible incidents in New York and Ferguson, where they were having violence with the police and against the police, Frisco Lakes stood up and we teed up our first golf tournament that generated $20,000 from our neighborhood support and our citizens at Frisco Lakes. And we gave that to the Fire and Police Association for scholarships for their young people, their kids. We've done that in 4 or 5 years now. So we collectively got $100,000 contributed to these associations. So that's our first golf tournament. The Veterans Golf Tournament will probably take place in the month of October. And we raise, again, probably another $24,000 to give to those 3 nonprofits that I already mentioned: the Homeless Veteran Services of Dallas, Defenders of Freedom. And Defenders of Freedom is really focused on soldiers with PSI or have brain trauma. And they have a clinic that treats these veterans for about $7,200 a person. So it's quite expensive, but the after the effects of the treatment are outstanding. And the USO, of course, is located at the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. And we get a lot of soldiers that go through there. But it's true, many of our veterans come out of the service with no training or skills to transfer to the civilian world. So they have to compete to get a job, but within 9 months, many of them are sleeping in their car, as you said. And we know there's about 600 homeless veterans in Dallas. And that's how
Wow.
we cater to those people.
You know, and if you just think, for those that are listening and watching the show all across the country, if we've got 600 in Dallas, then just think, add to that those in Atlanta and Detroit and Chicago, LA, the metropolitan areas, as well as just those small and medium-sized cities across the country. And we're talking literally thousands and thousands and thousands of veterans who have served their country and at no fault of their own have come home with maybe some emotional issues. As you said, they've been trained in the military, but have difficulty in taking that military training and converting it into what they can do, you know, in the open market here. And very often they fall back on not being able to support themselves and or their families, and they have needs. They reach out to the religious communities, but the bottom line is, I think that a lot of these veterans are saying, please just give me a job, give me something that I can do. And that's when they turn to the VA, they turn to various agencies to try and find the outlets. And you have one of those programs going on in the DFW area, and you reached out to me and said, I would like to say something about it. And it's a welding program. And so share with those that are listening what this welding program is for these veterans.
Thank you, Stuart, for teeing up that topic and important point. You did it well. About a year and a quarter ago, we reached out through the Homeless Veterans Center of Dallas, which is a site that has a building that was formerly an armory for the Reserves or National Guard. When they moved out of that building, another gentleman stepped forward and developed a service center, and it was his dream to put on the ground a school to teach veterans how to weld. So with donations, we started to retrofit that old armory in one of the buildings for workstations, and we now have 10 with welding machines donated from Lincoln Electric Company out of Cleveland, Ohio. And we reached across another organization called the Community College of Dallas. And the Community College of Dallas and the Vice Chancellor, led by Mark Hayes, brought his team into the Homeless Veterans Center, and we jointly collected all our talents and resources to form our first class of welding students, which was 10. And these veterans will graduate in the month of July. We're looking at July 18th. They will be certified with the state. They will also be placed in employment, and starting income will probably generate $32,000 to $45,000. So we're literally changing people's lives with this welding school, which, as you well know, has a very high demand for welders with construction and with the economy that we're enjoying today.
You know, to learn the welding trade is one thing. To walk out with a certificate and not know what to do with it is another. And the fact that this program will help place these welders in positions with companies so that they can start to apply their craft right away. And as you say, you know, $35,000, $45,000, that's not a bad opening income, because I know that they can generate, you know, upwards from there. But to go from homeless to having a career that can generate enough to feed a family and to get them out of a homeless state and get them into an apartment. I mean, this is borderline miraculous what this program can do for these homeless veterans. And I dare say that this is probably, again, one of those pay forward kind of situations, because the first class goes through, they become the proponents for other homeless veterans to get involved in something like that, learn this trade and make a career out of it, and they become new productive human beings. It's incredible.
Well, the second class will start in the month of July. We already have 19 veterans in queue that want to attend that class. So the first class did just that, told their fellow veterans what they were experiencing. In fact, one of the students in the first class welded and put together a small stove, which he was using to heat cans of soup in his particular situation. And he indeed had a college degree, but he had difficulties. And so success breeds success. And that's what we're going to see and enjoy the rest of this year and onward.
Now, you say the first class that will graduate is how many?
7.
Okay.
And we've got 2 more that has been transferred to the next class because they need a little additional training. So collectively, we'll see our first 9 students graduate from this beta test. And the second class again starts in the month of July. And we've already got 19 veterans in queue to attend.
What is the capacity for the class?
10
Okay.
to 12, 10 to 12 with hands-on. We have instructors that are provided from the Community College of Dallas, and materials are being supplied by vendors like Air Gas for tanks of gas and air. We've got scrap metal companies in Dallas that provide metal so you can practice on that metal for welding in the classroom. So it's very exciting to see. And I can hold up a brochure. I don't know how close you can read that flyer, but it shows indeed the artwork and the young man in a welding helmet at the bench.
Yes.
So
The information that's on that flyer, it's got a phone number, but I just want to clarify something for those that are listening, in case they know some homeless veterans or so. You said that they can handle about 10 or 12 per class, and you already have 19 that have applied. So that July class, for all practical purposes, is probably filled. After the July class, how many weeks is the program?
10 to 12 weeks.
10 to 12 weeks. So now we're talking about it will be the early fall before the next class will start. So again, unfortunately, what it means is some of those homeless veterans will have to continue to find sources to keep them going until they can get inside this program. Is there, do you see on the horizon the opportunity that maybe through the college or a second location that they may be able to expand this program, to take in more of these homeless veterans at a time?
Good question, Stuart. And yes, the Community College of Dallas has a campus called the Bill J. Priest Institute. They have a school where you can enroll for welding. And I've been told too that the college here in Frisco, is it the
Collin College?
Collin College, they're ramping up a welding program that could take up, I've been told, up to 40 to 50 students. So again, it reflects the need for welders in industry, and they can't feed the pipeline enough with the welders. Now, money, I've been told that if one travels globally with your skill sets as a welder, we can make up over $100,000 a year as a welder.
That has got to be just a staggering statement for someone who is in this homeless situation. They have been facing the bottom, and they realize that there's nowhere to go but up. But to go from nothing to just a minimum wage job, working in a fast food restaurant or so, is like taking the first step on a ladder. To be able to get into a program like that, which basically allows you to skip the first 10 rungs of that ladder and catapult your career. And as you said, some of these homeless veterans had careers. They had college degrees. They served their country. They were working within our society and fell on harsh times. And now they're trying to repurpose their lives. And I mean, this is just a phenomenal program. And I certainly hope that those listening all over the country are saying, I wonder if any of the veterans organizations in my city or my state know that there are programs like this, because this need for welders is not just a DFW issue. This, I understand, is a nationwide issue, that welding is becoming a very open, needed profession.
Well, this particular resource called the Homeless Veterans Services of Dallas has shelter. They have food, 2 meals a day. They have showers. They have labs with computers. They try to place veterans with work, but they also have a wonderful program, which is a very, very serious topic, and that's suicide. And they have suicide prevention courses for coaches when they get calls on hotlines. But for statistics, and I just read this yesterday, Stuart, that veterans represent 18% of the total number of suicides in the US. 18% of all suicides in a year. An average of 8,400 veterans die by suicide per year. So when you talk about reaching the depths of where they aren't healthy or aren't contributing as or making a means to support themselves, it gets very dire and very dark.
And again, for a veteran who feels like he has just reached the end and that there is no other way out, to know that there is a veterans organization like this, that there are programs available like this that can help them turn their lives around. It is, nothing short of miraculous that a program like this and caring people like the community college, like this veterans group, and like the Frisco Lakes Veterans Club that say, you know what, this is a worthwhile program, and let's put some of our money and our effort behind this to keep this program growing and to grow it from 10 students per class up to that 40, 50, 60 or more on multiple locations. Who knew that you could grow something like this and that it would be so valuable to the community?
Well, Stuart, that Mayor Cheney of Frisco is very supportive of veterans. And that was one of the planks in his platform for election, was to be a veteran-friendly city. And he has in place what he calls the Veterans Advisory Committee, where people sit and serve those veterans in need. Also, we reach out and collaborate with that committee as Frisco Lakes Veterans Group or Club. We also collaborate with the American Legion and the VFW of Frisco. And we've also enjoyed building a relationship with the George W. Bush Institute. And as you know, George W. Bush, our 43rd president, rides bikes with his veterans, plays golf, and we've enjoyed working with those people as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because in the promo I did for this show, I mean, there is a photo of George W. Bush with a very, very handsome individual standing next to him playing golf. That must have been did you actually play the round with him, or?
I did not, but I was
just jumped in on the photo op.
It was a photo op. For me, a thrill, because I've always admired the Bush family and Miss Laura, and good character, good values. And so it was last year that we were at the golf tournament for the Team 43, and he just happened to walk by, and I captured that photo op with my colleague, Ruben Kalages, which is the president of the Frisco Lakes Group. And he served on a Navy carrier, the same Navy carrier that Bush flew in that airplane at the end of the war, and stood at the conning tower of that aircraft carrier. So there was a flight jacket worn that day, which drew Bush over to the rope line, fending off the spectators. But it's been an exciting journey in the last year and a half. And my 5 years involved with the Veterans Group of Frisco Lakes, we also provide with our residents Memorial Day and Veteran Day events, and not only golf tournaments, but speakers once a month for our membership. And we have 60, 80 veterans that are in one of our amenity centers. And we've had great guest speakers, including Bunny Tolley. Bunny Tolley, as you know, was the gentleman of Frisco Lakes that was in the Hanoi Hilton for 5+ years. And there are other dignitaries that come to speak to our membership of the Frisco Lakes group. So we have a lot of fun. We have our own stories of our own membership and their service. And you know many of them. Specifically, I think of Dick Peasley, one of our members.
I was just going to bring up Dick's name because he was pilot of Marine One for Bush 41, and you know he's also a great guy, very involved with veterans programs and you know, again, a very great connection to a former president.
He also flew, and he takes great pride in flying Marine Corps One for Reagan, Carter, and Ford. And he had the opportunity to sit in Reagan's movie theater at his home at the ranch and watch the old films. So another experience that he shares with our membership, and it's a lot of fun too. So I really appreciate, Stuart, allowing us to talk about our efforts with our veterans in our Dallas-Fort Worth community. And for any of those that wish to have additional information, there's websites and telephone numbers of the homeless center. And for your viewers or listeners, the website is www.hvsd.org. Their phone number is 214-372-8822. And the president of that particular organization is Ken Watterson. And Ken is a former Marine. And and I got to tell you, the first time I went down to see Ken, there was this man staying in the room, and his name was Lee Emery of the movie Full Metal Jacket. He was the guy that played the DI. I don't know if you recall him, Stuart.
And he was there?
He was there. And now they have a Lee Emery golf tournament in his memory because he passed last year of pneumonia at age 72. But for me, being a former Marine, that particular movie, Full Metal Jacket, exemplified what boot camp was like when he played that role as an actor. But he was a drill instructor for the Marine Corps. So just a little sidebar conversation of what I experienced down there.
Well, you know, and going along with that, and we're talking a bit about what your group does. You said you've got a golf tournament coming up that's for the benefit of our first responders. If there's someone that's listening to the program right now, is this already a pretty much filled event, or are there still opportunities for any one in the community if they want to play this golf tournament with some of our first responders?
Well, we've been fortunate that many of our residents jockey for position to make certain they play every year. So we fill out the course of about 135 players pretty quickly with our own residents, 3,000 homes.
Sure.
But it certainly wouldn't hurt if you wanted to throw your hat in. And Dick Peasley's the one that facilitates these golf tournaments. And many of our first responders, and Fire Station 7 over here on El Dorado and 423, they're in Frisco Lakes community 1.5 times a day. And I just tell them, don't park that EMSA vehicle in front of my house. But there are angels, Firehouse Station 7.
Sure. Well, 3,000 residents, and they're all 55 and over. I would imagine that the vast majority of those are ambulance calls rather than fire calls.
Exactly.
And so you say Dick organizes the golf tournaments. You mentioned another golf tournament coming up in the fall around Veterans Day.
Veterans Day is November 11th. The October is the month that we historically have had the Veterans Golf Tournament.
Okay.
And that too is facilitated by Dick Peasley. And residents pretty quickly fill out that particular field of players or golfers. But we're more than welcome to listen to those people that want to play. Many of our politicians and mayor and councilmen play with us. And many of our firemen and policemen, probably up to 30 to 40% of them served in the military as well.
That's right.
So we get two bangs for one.
So if you know Dick Peasley, get in touch with him, and maybe if you'd like to make a little donation to the Frisco Lakes Veterans Club, talk to Dick and maybe he can get you on the golf course.
Good suggestion. Good suggestion, Stuart.
Or reach out to Mike Martin too. Or call me and I'll try and do a little bit of But so in addition to golf tournaments, in addition to working with the Veterans Resource Center in Texas on this welding program and all, you also help raise funds for the USO, which I've been supporting the USO. Oh man, I was thinking about it. It's getting close to 60 years when I served in the military, and I became a member and a supporter of the USO as soon as I went on active duty. And more than one time, I have found myself needing a little bit of comfort in at one of the airports, waiting for a flight and all, and gone to for the USO. And I know that every year, especially around the holidays, with as many military personnel as we have all over the globe, it's a great organization to donate. Money is important. They always ask for packages to send to veterans, but if you've got $5, $10, $20 that you can donate to the USO, they put it to good use. And I will tell you that I think close to zero is paid for any overhead costs. Almost every dollar that is donated to the USO goes directly to the benefit of our veterans, either those that are here and going through programs like these homeless programs that can help, but helping those veterans that are overseas with a little bit more of the comfort from home that they're missing.
Well, there's lots of ways to serve. One of our board members of the Frisco Lakes Veterans Club, Donna Hammond, is our treasurer on our board. And she and the quilting ladies of Frisco Lakes have sewn 6,000 masks for our coronavirus needs. And they are donated at no cost. And so 6,000 of those ladies have gone out and gotten material to sew 6,000 units. For
6,000. And how large is their group?
It's the quilting ladies of Frisco Lakes.
Frisco Lakes.
And Donna Hammond is our treasurer on our board for Veterans Group. So we cross link with other groups and clubs to serve the community at large. And this is for first responders that are on the line in our hospitals. But I wear proudly one of the masks that she made for our membership with the American flag and the Frisco Lakes group letters on the other side of the mask. We also, as you know, Dwayne Landau, one of our members of our group, was the Veteran of the Year 2 years ago for the city of Frisco. And he has been a pathfinder for food banks in the colony. He's the one that trucks down donated clothing to the homeless center in South Dallas, and quietly going about contributing and trying to make a difference, and they do. So a lot of well-meaningful people that don't get reported on. The media likes this sensationalism and terrible stories. These are great stories.
Yeah, and these are people helping people.
It's true.
And what greater feeling can a person have than to know that they are helping someone like a veteran who, again, is going to feel so uplifted because they've been able to better their lives. I mean, I just keep thinking about this welding program too, and if people wanted to contribute to help with this program, they can do that also.
Absolutely. And Ken Watterson, president of the Homeless Veterans Services of Dallas, would be that person to contact with that donation. But again, people who serve, men and women in uniform, not only the military, but our first responders, great value to the community. And with our recent protest, and again, a salute to Mayor Cheney and our chief of police, with the protesters, as you know, walked El Dorado, 2,000 souls, citizens.
That's right.
Wound up in the parking lot of St. Francis Catholic Church. And so good people, again, doing good work in a peaceful way.
Yeah, we just had a very, very successful town hall meeting that was talking about what our community is doing to make sure that there is a better connection between the public and the police departments. And we're fortunate because we've got some great protocol in place already to make sure that issues that have happened, unfortunately, across the country will not happen in our community. And to Chief Schulson and to Mayor Cheney and all of the other committees and groups, interfaith groups, the citizen groups. It's a matter of coming together and putting heads together and coming up with ideas. And it's not a matter of you take my idea or I'm walking out of the room. We as a community have found a way to sit down and say, through our vast diversity that Frisco has, that there are things that we can address and we can overcome and make life better for everyone. You and I have served on the Frisco Interfaith Alliance since its inception almost 3 years ago. And it's a wonderful group of people of various faith backgrounds to come together and just say, what can we do to make our community better? And, in light of these bad situations that have happened, attacks on community, church burnings and everything, we as a group have come together to say, we don't condone this behavior for any reason whatsoever. And to let the public know that if they need any of our assistance in any way, we're there for you, no matter what our background is. And you and I met at the Frisco Interfaith Alliance. We became very good, close friends. And it's hard to believe it's almost coming up on a year that you and I worked on a program to plant an international tree of peace at Frisco Commons Park, on behalf of all of the various faiths in our community, to come together and just say, this is a symbol of what it means when people can sit down and talk to each other and get to know each other and have each other's backs. And, we became even closer because of our work on that project too.
Well, as you know, today at 11 o'clock, your friend, my friend, Ernest Morgan, a Black pastor, is taking his barbecue trailer, which is his business of building revenue, is feeding over 100 policemen today at the police station on Stonebriar off of for the tollway.
Yeah, and I think last week he fed like a couple of hundred firemen. He's doing police this week, and he did firemen last week. And yeah, it's the Empowerment Church. Ernest B. We know him as, and just a kind soul who he doesn't recognize that his skin is black. His skin is American. His skin is a philanthropic, and gosh, we have so many things here in our community that I so wish could be seen by the rest of the country, and understand that there is another side to the coin that we often see on television, because it's usually the negative that's promoted and not necessarily the positive that's being done. You mentioned the two protests that we had was organized by a young Black man who knew that he could bring the community together if given the chance. And Mayor Cheney says, okay, we'll give you that chance. And he had two tremendously successful, multiracial, complete community involved, peaceful protests, just to say that not only do Black lives matter, but all lives matter. And we can do it arm in arm together and make this community a better community. And it's something that I wish we had a copier big enough that we could just make copies of that and distribute it all over the country.
Well, let's not forget our wonderful journey that we've had with the Muslims and our local mosque.
Yes.
Located on El Dorado and the Tollway. But understanding what we have in common as religions, but also celebrating our diversity. And that took off probably about 2.5, 3 years ago, when we didn't understand what we understand today about our Muslim brothers and sisters. And you and I have been there. You're of Jewish persuasion. I'm a Roman Catholic, but we have Hindus, we have Protestants, and we've learned to appreciate the value of everyone in Frisco.
And I think in this interaction, and I charge this to everybody across the country that's listening and watching this show, is get to know your brothers and sisters of other faiths, because it will surprise you. If you sit down and start a dialogue, you will find that you probably have a heck of a lot more in common than you have, uncommon. That a lot of our core beliefs are exactly the same. It's just the message is delivered in different ways. But the ultimate message of do unto others as you would have others do unto you is common among all of the religions. And it's important as a community that we understand that and share that. And that it's been a great friendship for you and I and others to do that. And by the way, when we get together with our Interfaith Alliance, the police are involved, the fire department is involved, usually someone from the city council is there to help support it, so that everybody's on the same page. So it doesn't take weeks and weeks and months and everything for an idea to get started. Everybody sits there and said, okay, let's get this ball rolling. This isn't rocket science. This is just basic human understanding.
Well, it is, and respect and being able to listen to each other. We may have difference of opinion, but at least understand those difference of opinion, with not the idea I'm going to convert you to my way of thinking or my beliefs, but then again, find common ground, how we can move the ball to contribute or make a difference in our community as people. And it is very simple and very clear.
So what else is on your mind, Mike?
Well, we've all had time to think in quarantine. One of my friends who's 84, 85 years old, I mentioned him this morning, that's Colonel Bunny Tully, Tully, lives off Legacy in Lebanon. But he spent over 2,400 days in the Hanoi Hilton. So I called him. I said, Bunny, how are you managing this self-quarantine with the coronavirus 19? He said, Mike, it's a piece of cake. It's a piece of cake. So putting it in perspective, we still have mobility in our homes and not a cell. We still can go to the supermarket. So I was reflecting on, we still have movement and it's still a great country. And we didn't have to experience the pain of being in the Hanoi Hilton, which is an extreme. I can appreciate that. But being a grandfather, I took note that things were moving pretty fast. Everybody was so structured. My grandchildren, my kids, 724, the job, the internet exasperates that flow of information. So at least the corona allowed people to sit down and have dinner at a table as a family and unplug and get to know each other. So I thought that's a wonderful silver lining, if there is one, in the coronavirus 19.
It kind of reminded us of the good old days when we were growing up, and our families used to get together for dinner and actually. Now the other downside of it is I remember my parents always used to sit down. So how was school today? You know, and we'd have to tell our mom and dad it was good, it was bad, what was challenging and all. It's a hard conversation to have right now because mom and dad who are sitting at the table are not only mom and dad, but they were also your teachers because you were being homeschooled at the time. My son even said to me, Dad, you know, if you see me talking to myself, I'm just having a parent-teacher conference. So it was, but little by little, things are starting to open up now. Certainly, you have a passion for golf, and the golf courses are open now with certain restrictions. What they've done, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but instead of 2 people per cart, some of the golf courses are just allowing golfers out 1 per cart to keep that social distancing, but you're out in the open air. Some swimming pools are opening in the area. Lord knows we're heading toward July, and now we're going to start getting those triple-digit figures. But the pools, if they had a 200-person capacity, they may be limiting it to 50 people. Little by little, it will come back. And you need to do what you feel is right. But you know, we're going to get through this. We've gotten through challenges like this before, and we'll get through it again, and we'll get through it with our friends.
Well, our generation, and I'm 80 years old, but I didn't experience the Depression, the flu of 1918. I didn't go to Europe in the big war, World War I, World War II. I didn't experience carpet bombing of my community or my neighborhood from bombers above their European cities. So hardships and degrees of hardships, but we've been blessed by being an entitled generation of a lot of gifts and a very comfortable lifestyle. And certainly we're in a bubble with in Frisco Lakes. It's very comfortable. So improvement, always, but thankful I am.
And we also should not lose sight of the fact that it's up to us to work with our children and our children's children to try and keep those lessons that we have learned alive so that they can pass it forward, so they can pay it forward, to be generous like you are with these programs of helping veterans and those that have little to eat by supporting food banks and all. And for that price of what you might go out and get a pizza, maybe donating that to a cause that can help others. You know, that's the lessons that we have learned, and those are the lessons that we want to pay forward.
Exactly. And I've seen my grandchildren by being taught by their parents. On a recent holiday to Costa Rica, they took time out to go into the villages and paint school buildings, classrooms, while on vacation. And that's community service in a country in Central and South America, Costa Rica. Yeah, a high-end holiday, but they took time out to help as well with the local citizens and painted schools.
Well, my friend, we are on the 18th green, and we each have a short putt to wrap up this round. So I thank you very, very much for taking the time to be with me and with our viewers and listeners, and telling them about the great work that the Frisco Lakes Veterans Club is doing. and just keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, Stuart, and I value your friendship greatly, and enjoy the rest of your day. And I'm going to go out and get some barbecue food at the police station.
There you go. There you go. And again, thank you very, very much to our producer, Christine Dean of DFW Networking Diva. And you need any of her services, go to her website, get in touch with her. Christine, thank you again very, very much. Love you. That'll do it for another edition of Someone You Should Know. We hope you'll join us again next week. We'll be right here and sharing another show with you. So go out and make it a great weekend and a great week ahead.
Goodbye, Stuart.
DFW Networking Diva, connecting you to who you want to know.